Hi, my name's Chris Rymes. I teach trumpet here at Elm City Music in Keene, New Hampshire. Want to start off today by talking about trumpet and talking about some different trumpet mutes, their function, their sound, sort of how they're used within an ensemble. So first I'll start by playing something just without a mute so you can get an idea for the sound of the trumpet. So one of the next mutes that's used quite a bit, both in classical and jazz settings, is the cup mute. It kind of gets its name because it sounds exactly, like its name, where it has this cup built around this mute portion that sticks in the bell. Gives it a mellower sound. The trumpet doesn't project out quite as far, but also helps to sort of warm up the sound a little bit. Like I said, this can be used in jazz settings as well as classical. And the function of all of these mutes is really just to change the overall sound and projection of what the instrument does. So the next mute we're going to talk about is a straight mute. It's very similar in shape to the cup mute, except without the actual cup at the base of the mute. These are made out of different materials, which overall affects the sound of the mute and really affects that tone color. The cup mute that I played is a fiber, sort of a cardboard material. This straight mute is made out of aluminum on the top with copper at the bottom. Gives it a much brighter sound. The straight mute is used in both classical and jazz settings as well. Because of the brighter sound, it sort of helps to cut through the group at times. Bucket mutes are used to make the sound really nice and pretty. It takes off a lot of the higher overtones. Again, the name comes from the fact that it's pretty much just a bucket that attaches onto the bell of the instrument. There is some cotton material in here that helps to absorb the sound and really absorbs a lot of the higher overtones. So what we hear is a very mellow trumpet sound. Another mute that has many uses is the harmon mute, also referred to sometimes as a bubble mute because of its bubble-like shape. Harmon mute can be played in a couple different ways. The first is with what we call the stem, which is this little piece that sticks inside of the mute. So the stem in the harmon mute creates a little bit buzzier sound, a little bit brighter projecting sound. If we take that stem out of the harmon mute, we get a very different sound because the way that the air passes through the mute doesn't really project out through that stem. Kind of keeps the sound inside of the mute a little bit more. This sound is made really well known by Miles Davis. He would play with a mute like this very close to a microphone to create that warm but buzzy sound. Another mute that's very similar in sound to the harmon mute is called a couple different names. This manufacturer calls it a clear tone mute. It's more likely known as a solo tone mute. Creates a very vintage sort of radio sound that we're used to hearing from, the 20s and 30s. Another mute that's used very commonly is something that is found around almost every household and is referred to as just a plunger. This one I use here is just that. It's a regular toilet plunger purchased from a hardware store. The only modification I did is I cut a little tiny hole in there to let the air escape. It just helps the mute to play a little more in tune. This is used for mainly jazz styles. So those are quite a few mutes. They all have very different sounds, very different uses, and they really help to change the sound of one instrument to sound in many different styles. So it can blend in with different ensembles. Like I said, different styles of music, and really has a lot of sounds that it can add to just the regular trumpet.